been really busy out here for about the last 6 weeks, and kind of slowing down a little bit now. And I was thinking today I'm just going to mess around. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I've been out at my wood pile and found this piece of walnut right here. And I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to get it roughed down into a cylinder and see what kind of vase I can make out of this. I really like vases, but I think it'll be nice. It's got a few cracks in it and things like that. Like I was saying in a previous video, a lot of times when I cut this stuff, I won't seal the ends. I'll let it crack and spalt and things like that, ever how it wants to do. But this has been under my shed, and it's good and dry. But I didn't seal the ends. Okay, so it's got a few little cracks in it. So I'll be doing some repair work. But I'm also going to be trying out probably the most beautiful tool I've ever seen in my life. My new Carter & Son 3/4 rough and gouge that came from the Christmas Ornament Challenge. Thank you very much, Carl and Alan, for putting on that challenge this year. I really appreciate this. I never expected a piece of equipment this elegant and sharp. Good Lord, that thing right out of the box is like a razor. But I'm fixing to put it to the test. We're fixing to put her to work. She's not going to sit around like a museum piece. And we shall see just how she really does, how she compares to my $20 one. All right, hey, let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing roughed down. All right, well, this piece is really out of balance, pretty bad. Before I get it roughed, so I've got my face shield on, and let's get this thing started. We'll get it rolling here. Okay, I think we're roughed down pretty good now. Let's see. Alright, let's start looking at a shape here. I think what I like is rounded up on the bottom and coming in with a cove right in here and then back out. And I think that's what I may go for. I may need to thin this on down just a little bit. So let's work on that. Okay, got my knot hole here. All right, let's start trying to get me a tenon on here. Yeah, I'm gonna put the tenon on this end, but I have to true up both ends. It's going to be probably about 8 inches long when I get done. All right, so part tool. let me just square up the tenon real good. I'll use the skew for that. Okay, good shoulder, good tenon. All right, now I should be able to get this thing turned around now and turn it a little bit safer. Get in my jaws, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, all right, now we're just going to continue on roughing this on down into the shape that I'm looking for. First of all, I need to just go ahead and square this off. I'll do that with my parting tool. Gouge. I'm going to have to go to my bowl gouge. And I was just mainly trying to see how that tool is going to work. And wow, it really cuts good. Okay, alright, well I'm going to switch over to my bowl gouge and keep this thing going, hopefully. And that right there is going to have to be fixed. What I'll do is I'll fix this before I start hollowing the inside. Because that hole will go all the way through the wall. So I'll fix that before I get to the inside. Alright. I'll start that right now. Alright, well, right here it's a pretty deep hole, and it's in the kind of a pith of some of the of a limb that was coming out. Got that, and I need to stabilize this right here also. So what I'm going to do here, that's really dark, so I'm going to use some coffee grinds to fix that. But first of all, I'm going to kind of stabilize all this in here with some CA. Just get CA all in here along the insides of these, and that'll soak in there good and help me keep that from cracking any further. Then I've got some coffee grinds. It can come straight out of the can or it can come out of the filter, but you need to dry them if it's come out of the filter. So we're going to cram that stuff full in there. And of course you will get it on your fingers, but it'll come off. But it needs to be packed good and tight. Really good and tight. I'll grind it in there. Just grind it in there good. I'll grind it in my fingers and grind it up even smaller, because the outer layer has to be smaller pieces, or it just doesn't work out right. Alright, now I'll come back with another layer of super glue. And this is the thin super glue. Alright, now I'm going to have to wait a few minutes for all of that to set up. But that'll do a good job of stabilizing that hole and filling it in before I hollow it out. Because once I hollow it out, then if I try to put something in there, it's liable to fall into the inside or whatever. But I'm going to put just a little bit right here. It won't need any filler, but it does need to be stabilized. So that little hole right there, and I'll get that good and stabilized. Alright, then I'll be back in just a few minutes once this stuff cures up good, and we'll move on from there. Okay. Alright, well, let's see what we got here. Okay, I've let this dry. It's good, hard as a rock right there. That should be good and stabilized. So now I'm going to go back and try to cut that off nice and even. And then we're going to start working on the rest of this. You can see this, it's not really tear out, I don't guess, but anyway, rough spots all over. We're going to start working on that stuff. Feels smooth. Wow, look at that. Just don't get much better than that. Alright, just finish scraping this down. got the face closed on this tool almost completely to give me a nice sheer straight. And the tool is about 45 degrees off the floor. Let me zoom in here just a little bit, see if you can see what's going on. Alright, you can see these areas like this right here, little bitty cracks there and here. I need to stabilize all this out, and it's going to take a good bit, but be very vigilant when you start doing this and make sure you get them all. Because once you start sanding and all that, then you find them and you have to go back and redo them, and that kind of slows down everything. But all I'm doing is I've got these ingrain walnut shavings, and I talk about it a lot on my videos. So, but they grind down into a really fine powder here. And I just start rubbing them in these places. Like in here, just rub it in really tight. And then I'll hit it with a little bit of CA. And that CA will run that crack and hold that stuff in place. Right, and then I just look for the next one right there. Make sure you rub that stuff in good too, so that when the CA adheres or soaks into it, it soaks into the sides and everything, and it stabilizes that crack really well. And I'll just keep on doing this until I get all the cracks and stuff stabilized the way I want them, and then we'll move on. Okay. All right. Well, now I'm gonna just gonna go ahead and dress this up a little bit, and I'm gonna start getting ready to fill all these voids and cracks and, well, little voids and stuff. The problem with dealing with spalting wood is that it's very soft, and it's almost to the point that it's about to start to rot. So what I have is really hard wood here in the heart, but then as I get around into areas where there's a lot of spalting, and basically the sap wood is very, very soft on here. So now I've scraped it as good as it's going to scrape, and it is smooth, but it's not ready to have a finish put on it yet. It's not good enough for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and dress the top, and then I'm going to oil this up and sand it down. There we go. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, it's a lot better. No cigar yet. See what we got now. Now that's a whole lot better. You see these these areas where the cracks were. It's good and stabilized now. So I think we're pretty good to go to the next step. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to get this ready for a finish on the outside. Then I'll worry about the inside. Okay? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm using tongue oil. It's Minwax tongue oil. I just got it at like the Home Depot or something. I'm just going to put it on a paper towel pad, and I'm going to coat this thing up real good with oil. And it will soak it up too. But basically what I'm doing here is I'm just going to try to get this ready to sand. And this tongue oil has a little bit of adherence. It sticks together, and it'll stick together good enough for me to fill up all my little voids with it. And once you get the surface prepped pretty good, this stuff really bring the colors out too. But I'm just trying to get a good bit on the surface so that I can use my sandpaper and start filling up all these little voids with it. This stuff cures really quickly also, so you have to be kind of quick when you do something like this. Once it's cured, this little trick won't work. Alright, I've got a nice coat over the whole thing now, and it would have probably actually been better to put that on with a brush, but I used a paper towel and it works pretty good. I'm going to start out with about 120, 150 sandpaper, and I'm just going to start moving all this oil and sawdust around into all these little voids. You'll see it start to form on your sandpaper. Well, at the same time, it's filling up those little voids. And it'll really smooth that surface up nice. Let's see what, oh wow, that's smooth. Now, you can see where all the tear out was. It's nice and smooth now. Okay. Man, it's not real pretty yet, but now I'll let this cure, and once I come back I can finish my sanding and all of that, and we'll have a nice surface there for my finish. So I will be back probably about an hour. I'll come back in about an hour and check it, and we'll see what she's like then. All right. Okay, well, we're just going to get started now on the sanding. I'm going to power sand this first, and then I'll come back. I'll power sand with 80 grit, and then I'll come back and then I'll sand the rest by hand. So we'll start that. So I get her plugged up there. And just do that with this. That cleans the sandpaper really well. All I'm doing here is just making sure that my first sanding gets rid of all the marks and everything. And it looks like it has. So I'm going to proceed on. I'm just going to proceed on with my sanding. I'll do each grit by hand from here on. Let's see. Okay, this is 150. Alright, so I'm going from 80 to 150. And the rest of them, I'm just going to sand by hand. And I'll go all the way up through 600 with it. By the time I get done, there will be none of the tongue oil will be left, but it'll be smooth as a baby's bottom. All right, and then I'll just go back with a grain on each grit. Making sure that I take out any sanding marks that I just put on there. And this joker will be going our way. Okay. And I'll just do this for every grit. And then I'll be back once I finish the sanding on the outside. And I don't know if I'm going to go ahead and finish this or if I'm going to go ahead and hollow it first, but we'll see in a few minutes. Alright, well now I'm just getting ready. Basically I've sanded off all the tongue oil, but I really like the look of tongue oil, so I'm going to put another coat before I start my finish. And the finish that I'm going to use is a paste wax. Let's see if I can get some out here. There we go. Get my brush nice and saturated. Now we'll start seeing some colors come out in this piece. Make sure when you're doing your surface prep that you get all your marks out and everything, especially if you're going to use like a gloss finish or a finish that uses wax, because it will bring out any imperfections it'll bring out any kind of imperfections. But this tongue oil brings the color out, and then the wax will seal all of it in and give it the sheen that I'm looking for. And I put this stuff on really liberally, because I will actually sand one more time with 600 grit, just to knock off any fuzzies that may develop from this tung oil. And I generally don't have much of a problem, but I'll sand it anyway. And the outside of this thing is about ready to be finished. I just love the colors in that walnut. It's just amazing. But it's been out there under my shed now for a couple of months. I mean, for a couple of years, and during that time, it's developed a little discoloration and stuff in the sapwood. The heartwood doesn't change very much, but the sapwood does, and it's got a lot of really interesting colors in it. But it'll take a good hour or so for this to cure up, and probably even longer than that. I'll be back out here after a while to check it, but it's cold out here today, and it may take all night or maybe even into tomorrow. But I'll be back when I get ready to put the wax on the outside, and then we'll get this thing hollowed out, finish out the inside, and we'll have this old girl done. All right. Well, I'll see you then.